Hey guys, welcome back to We Met at Acme. I'm so excited to be here with Marin Haugo, who is doing the 28 Dates in 28 Days
Yes.
challenge.
Mhm.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm
Thank you.
so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming and for bringing your adorable dog, Archie.
Yes, he's very happy to be here.
Is this his first podcast?
It is.
Wow.
Yep.
He's doing great.
It's a big one too.
He's doing
Honored.
really great.
Thank you.
So, Marin, what is your favorite romantic gesture?
That's a good question. My favorite romantic gesture, honestly, I like the little things. Like everyone thinks I want like free meals and all this opulence, which don't get me wrong, I love. But my favorite romantic gesture is just like checking in on me. And guys who are like very like tailored to me. So like sending me a book recommendation, an article that I might like, or even like borrowing me a piece of equipment. This happened this month, if you can't tell, during my 28 date challenge. When a guy, the writer guy actually, he brought me like a podcasting microphone because he knew I wanted to start a podcast and he knew I didn't have the equipment. And so just like little tailored things like that like help me make my life better.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. And before we get into it, how old are you and where are you from?
Okay, I'm 31 and I'm from Minnesota. Okay.
But you
I'm
don't
so
have an
bad at this.
accent.
I'm so bad at podcasting already. I'm
No.
nervous. Okay, so I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I don't have an accent unless I say the O's, and then you'll really hear it.
But I feel like when I say Minnesota, I say Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, or I say house. Do you hear it
Uh-huh.
there?
Yeah, I hear it a little
Yeah.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 31 from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it's just like so fun to say.
It's fun to say. Everyone at home is like Minnesota.
Yeah. So what were you doing before you
Hmm.
decided to do the 28 days and dates in 28 days?
Yeah, so I was very single. Sales and recruiting was my job. I was in between like looking for a new job. And so that's when I decided to take on this challenge. That's been a big question of people. I had a lot of extra time. And so I was able to really channel my energy and put it towards dating. But yeah, I'm a sales girly.
So in between jobs, meaning you had a new thing lined up.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, because I was
Totally.
gonna say it's kind of hard to date if you don't have a job, I feel like.
Oh, totally. No, I mean, if a guy is like, what do you do for work and you're unemployed, that's usually not the best look. I don't
Yeah.
recommend that, although I don't want to shame people who are
No,
unemployed.
of course.
But I think for me, like, being in sales, I had money saved and I was going to start my next job. And then this took off and I decided to run with it. I'm also an entrepreneur. So I had an Amazon store during the pandemic that did really well. So I'm just a business girly. Like I've always had that spirit to me. And so yeah, I'm a New York hustler where I've always had like a million gigs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a hustler as well, so
Totally. Yeah.
I get it. What made you want to do this challenge? What was your, you had mentioned that you were not taking dating seriously before.
Hmm.
What does that even mean?
So I was just so lazy. Like, so I was dating like 24-year-olds from work because it was just proximity, it was convenience. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm 31. I need to actually prioritize, like, I need to zoom out and look at what do I want in a partner and how can I actually find that and not just, go with what's right in front of me.
Right.
And so just like being really intentional was the whole point of this whole process.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
love that.
Yeah.
And what was your first step in order to get these 28 dates lined up?
Yeah. So one of the guys, actually, date number two, the one, like, I feel like the people who follow me know who exactly I'm talking about, but he's one of the front runners who I'm still talking to right now. He actually had been trying to go on a date with me since December, but I kept just kind of blowing him off. Like, I was busy, it was the holidays. And so, like, I had guys in my like inbox, I guess, for Hinge and Bumble who wanted to take me out, but I just was like, oh, it's like Friday night. I'd rather like lay on the couch and watch Netflix, or I'm going to go to this game night with friends instead. And so I just never was making time for dating. And so I was like, you need to get your shit together and you need to prioritize it.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the whole impetus, was that I had people who were interested in me, but I wasn't actually going out and like doing the dates.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so you responded to that person, let's say on the dating app.
Yep.
That was date number 2.
Yep.
What was date number 1?
It was another guy from Hinge.
Okay.
So my first 2 dates were from Hinge, and I'm somebody who doesn't like to hang around on the apps. I really believe in like being on there for like maybe like 10 minutes a day. Like, and so I'm somebody where if a guy's not asking me out pretty quickly, I'm like, "Hey, can you grab a drink tonight?" or "Hey, can you grab a drink this week?" And usually it works. And if it doesn't work and the guy has like some long paragraph of an excuse, he's probably not my guy and he's just there to like waste my time, and so I keep it moving. And like I with these 2 guys, I basically was like, "Okay, I'm going to do this challenge." And I messaged them what I just said. "Hey, could you meet up tonight for a drink?" And both of them said, "Yep," and then made plans.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. See, that would be something that I would advise people not to do
Oh, really?
because I would, I guess, just be scared that like I don't know, that the guy wasn't interested, but now it sounds kind of silly because I guess if it's on an app, things are different because they've already said yes to you.
Yeah, and it's almost like an app is different than the real world, right? Like no rules or no norms apply to the apps in my mind. I think on the apps like all is fair in love and war. So basically like a girl can be the one to make the first move even if you're more traditional in nature, which I am. I like to be pursued by a guy, but I think that there's just so much noise and like almost like lethargy on apps that like let's just get it moving. Like let me just put it out there, but then I still expect the guy to be like, "Okay, we're going to go to this bar at this time. Does that work for you?" So
Right.
all I say is, "Are you available at this time?" And then he takes it from there.
I think that's fair. Actually, that's one of
Yeah.
my like quote unquote rules is like you can initiate, but then let them take it from there. So
Exactly.
I'm with you on that one. I
Mhm.
think that's fine.
Okay.
Um, let's go over all of these dates. There's so many questions
Oh my
that
god.
came in for you
I'm
and that I have
excited.
for you. So, what were the just overall right now? You're at day, I don't know what, like 32?
Yeah. Right
Yeah.
now, I mean like I can't do fast math, so I
Yeah.
assume it's like what my
Yeah.
I'm like, "Don't make
And
me do this."
and what was the best and worst date within the 28 right now where you stand?
So the best date was the date where the guy, he's a hedge fund guy, he's date number 2. He's the guy who I've gone on the most dates with. He cooked me dinner and it was just so sweet. Like it was so nice to go to someone's home and he had like a cheese plate ready and then he made me a nice salmon meal cuz I'm a pescatarian and like he just like paid attention to the little details. I also liked it because sometimes, especially because like the economy right now, people get like in their head about who's going to pay, like when do I offer, do I grab from my wallet. When you're being hosted at someone's home, you can just show up and like you're not going to have to like grab for the wallet or anything.
Yeah.
And I brought a bottle of wine and it was just like it was so nice and I like love like just like the simplicity of it. Yet like he clearly had a plan. It was very intentional on his end. So I liked it a lot.
That is great, but I would be way too scared to go over to someone's place on a first date.
It was a second date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
still,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
early days for going to his place. Our first date was probably like maybe like 6 or 7 hours long, where it was like supposed to be just drinks that turned into dinner,
Yeah.
which turned into a nightcap type of situation. And so I felt like comfortable with him. And
Right.
so, yeah.
I'm like, I just have to speak up because my listeners are listening to this, like knowing that these are all like against my rules,
Okay, I would
technically.
love to hear your
Yeah.
rules.
Well,
Okay.
so I would never be on a date for more than 2 hours.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Yeah. Because it like can create a false sense of closeness
Yep.
where clearly you felt because you felt comfortable going to his
Yeah.
apartment on the
Oh,
second date.
totally. And I'm
Yeah.
not advising that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was a little risky. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. No,
Yeah.
totally. And then
Yep.
I would say don't go to their apartment until like date 5 or 6.
And I would agree with that
Right.
too. And like I even on the way over to his place, I was like, because I was recording this whole series, I was
Right.
like, this is bad. Like I should not be doing this early. But I just did. I trusted him.
Well, I think what's so cool about
Yeah.
this challenge is you kind of like had to just go with it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like you were sticking to rules in this challenge because then it
Right.
wouldn't have been what it was.
Totally, totally. And then there's also like that gut check, right? So like there's certain people where And the gut, I believe my gut most of the time, but there's certain people where, like, if they were to invite me to their apartment to make me dinner on date 2, I'd say absolutely not. But with him, I had the gut feeling where I felt like I could trust him. There was another guy who on date 1 wanted to drive me home, and I was like, I'm not getting in a car with this guy. Like, I don't
Good.
feel safe with him.
Yeah.
And so, like, don't get me wrong, I'm very mindful, and, like, I shared my location before going to the dinner, so I was mindful of safety, but, like, I get what you're saying, and I get why that would go against rules that you
Yeah.
have,
No, of
totally.
course.
Mhm.
But you do have boundaries for yourself,
Of
which
course,
which I
yeah.
really, really like and
Oh, thank you.
respect. And so many people also who are following along appreciate that.
Yeah.
What would you say are your boundaries? Like, how do you navigate those boundaries?
Yeah, well, boundaries has been something that I've historically struggled with. And so for me, I read Steve Harvey's book right before starting this challenge, which some people might giggle at because, like, he's a comedian, whatever. But I've never read a book written by a man about dating. And I think his perspective was really eye-opening to me because I always had certain boundaries, but I never knew how to properly communicate them. And just the way he framed it, like, really clicked with me. And so he gave me, like, a really concrete timeline. I'm acting like me and Steve Harvey are like whole
Yeah.
like besties.
Like he's your dating coach.
Yeah, like Steve told me this. No, I read in his book that, you shouldn't have sex, or what he says, give them, I don't want to say it. It's gross.
Give
But
them the pussy or
the
something.
cookie.
Oh, okay.
He says no cookie until after 90 days, which I think is actually genius. I think it's so true because, like, you can make out, you can do all, like, you can text some, like, spicy stuff to each other, you can do everything, but just nothing below the belt. And
90 days.
90 days, 90, like, so, like, 3 months. Yeah, isn't that insane?
That is wild.
I know, but I'm gonna actually follow it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, here I am, 31. I've been in a lot of toxic relationships. I've been in long-term relationships before. My last relationship, there's a point I thought I was gonna marry him. We obviously didn't get married, but, like, I've been blinded by intimacy before. And so I really wanted to have a clear head as I'm going through my decision-making processes as to who I end up with.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think 90 days is a lot, but
Mhm.
I think it's better than the alternative, which is like, sleeping with someone on a first date
Yeah.
and being unclear.
Yeah, and then also I think that it's awkward to sleep with somebody on the first date because you don't know them.
Oh, yeah,
And
no,
sex is so intimate.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's strange because then, like, during it it's fun, then
Yeah.
afterwards it always feels awkward to me, and I don't want to have that feeling right now. I feel like I'm too
Agreed.
old for that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm more like a 5 to 7 dates
Yeah.
kind of girly.
And I feel like I used to be, but I'm
Mhm.
really going to try to stick to this 90-day rule.
Yeah, no, I think
Mhm.
that I'm so curious and excited to see how that works out.
Yeah.
Do you think that Okay, sorry, there's so many different questions. I love
I'm
it.
nervous. Okay.
What are some green flags that you looked for when you went on these first dates?
Okay, so I need a guy who has a strong opinion about getting married. Like, I don't want to convince anybody about what he wants out of life. So I want a guy who wants marriage, wants kids, wants a family unit structure. Um, I need a guy who has a friend group and community. That was a deal breaker for a few of the guys where they seemed really perfect, but then when they talked about their family, they were distant from them or they didn't have a group of friends. And to me, that's a huge red flag. And then just having, like, really concrete goals. What if someone knows what they want out of life, that's a yes. If they have no idea, that's a no.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't be their shepherd, you
No,
know?
I agree with that
Mhm.
one. I feel like the close to your family can go either way because sometimes families can be toxic.
Right.
But the friend group network, that's like an underrated green flag. I feel like that's
Totally.
so important. And
Yes.
I feel like more guys than girls don't have friends. Like, where are their friends?
I don't know. And if they don't have friends and they've been in the city longer than I have, I've been here a year and a half and I have a group of friends. I proactively went out and found those people, and I'm trying to surround myself with like-minded people who, align with my values and goals. But I proactively did that. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah, scary. How did
Scary.
you find your friends?
Bumble BFF.
Stop.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
I know. It's been a blessing. Like, and if you look at my friends, you might be like, oh, her, like, Bumble BFF friends. No, like, these women are, like, in their 30s too. Some of them are transplants to the cities. to the city, but they're all super successful, dynamic, interesting women, and you would never be like, "Oh, they all met on a dating app." No, well,
Yeah.
it wasn't a dating app.
No, but
It's a
yeah, yeah,
networking
yeah,
app, I guess,
yeah.
because Bumble has is multifaceted. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, my friends are gonna be like, Marin, what are you telling people? I feel like for me, I did it because I came to the city with nobody.
Yeah.
And so like you kind of have to do something to meet
No,
people.
100%.
And I wanted to have friends who were my age and in my life stage. And
Yeah.
so that's why I went to Bumble BFF. But essentially, one girl who's actually from New York City, she matched with a bunch of other girls. And then she invited everyone to this big mixer where there were like 20 plus women. And so it wasn't like going on a one-on-one date with a
No, of
friend.
course.
It was like a big like happy hour where then 4 of us gravitated towards each other and then just continued to
Oh, I
invite
love
each other
that.
places and get to know each other. So it was very natural,
Yeah.
but Bumble BFF was like the modality of how we met.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
And we actually do women's mixers with
Oh,
We Met at
cool.
Acme. So
I love it.
yeah,
It's
so if you're
amazing.
listening to this and wanting some more friends,
Yeah.
what would you say you learned about yourself? Like your biggest takeaway from being like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that I."
hmm I think that the energy that you put out when you're dating translates directly into how you're treated. This whole month I've not been treated better in my life by men, where they've been really communicative. They've taken me on really nice, thoughtful dates, and I never struggled getting a date, but I have struggled with being treated correctly by different guys in my life and like letting little things slide and whatnot. And this month, because I went in with that intention of, I'm really looking for my husband and I expect to be treated, X, Y, and Z ways. And, this is what I'm looking for. These are deal breakers. These are green flags. Ever since I've been projecting that message, both like energetically, but also like communicating it pretty clearly to the guys, they're raising up to my standards. And so I really learned that like if I hold my standard high, people will meet my standard where it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How does that come up though on a first date? Like, are you just like, "So, are you ready for marriage?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You say that.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you looking for in a relationship right now? And then if they're like are like fuzzy about it, then I'll just ask clarifying questions. But I will I'll straight up be like, do you want marriage? Like one of the guys who I'm talking to right now, he's a comedian. He's 28 and I'm 31, so there's a 3-year age gap there. And we were FaceTiming yesterday and I was like, you're 28, I'm 31. One thing that's giving me pause is our age gap and like, you're trying to make it as a comedian. Like, are you going to be okay with getting married in 2 years? And I just left it. And like I said that and I was silent and he responded.
What did he say?
He said that yes. He said that for the right person, he would totally be willing to get married. And just like as long as our lifestyles align and our vision for our futures align, then yeah.
See, that's another thing that I would be, hi Archie, that I would be scared of because I feel like guys don't know what we all kind of don't really know what we're looking for until we find it.
Right.
Like you could say that you want marriage, but then you
Totally.
could meet a guy and you could be like, "Oh, I actually just want to like hook up with him. He's like more the kind of guy that I would rather hook up with than marry." Right?
Yeah, but then I would just keep it moving. Like that's the thing is like I think the way I go about finding a relationship, I know it's a little controversial because it's very direct and it's very blunt, but I think that I weed out the wrong people and I think that the people who are excited about me, they're excited about me because they're really aligned with what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I
Yeah.
guess just like to play devil's advocate, like if I were a guy on a date with you and you were like, "Are you looking for marriage?"
Yeah.
I would be like, "Wow, this girl like just wants a husband.
Yes.
She doesn't care like who it is."
Yes, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So for me, like I looked around at 31 and I was like, I could totally see myself like letting the next 10 years pass by without a partner. And like I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a husband. And at the same time, it's like it's just people want partnership and companionship. And I mean, yeah, it's about the person, but it's also about timing and aligned vision and goals because I used to be all about the soulmate type of thing and then I was dating the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
I would give too much leniency to certain people because I was like, well, maybe they're my soulmate.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm meant to help them. And now I'm kind of like, I'm not Mother Teresa. Like I'm not here to help anyone. Like we'll have synergy. Like I'm gonna come fully to this partnership, and we'll create something great together. But I'm not gonna pick somebody up out of the gutter and try to like be their life coach. Like I'm truly looking for a partner. And also, by the way, like I think when I communicate it to like my followers and even to you right now, I would say it with such intensity. When I'm on a date, like I'm like a different girly, right? Like I'm like a little bit more light, flirty, fun, and it's like a banter. It's like a conversation. It's woven in a natural way. I'm not sitting with a checkboard being like, okay, question one,
Yeah.
and like writing it down. It's like a little bit more like free flowing, and we don't go there right away. Like there's like, like you build rapport, you get to know somebody, and then as you're getting to know them, you just drop a few questions in there.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's all about how you say it.
Deliver.
Yeah, how you deliver it for sure. Have any guys gotten upset about the challenge? I think I saw one guy had said to you, like, I saw you're dating other people. I'm not doing this or something.
Yeah, so the advertising guy was not into it after a while, but I also think he was starting to get in his head because I wasn't really feeling it as much either. And so he would go on my stories and I would be saying positive things about the other guys. I would be saying positive things about him too. The whole thing was to showcase my journey. And I told him, like, don't watch if it's going to make you feel uncomfortable because this is what I'm doing right now, but you don't have to actually follow my Life of Marin Instagram.
Right.
And he still followed it, and it did make him uncomfortable. And I also think that we were probably at that juncture about to end things like pretty mutually anyways. So had he been like the love of my life, like I probably wouldn't have so openly talked about my feelings for the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does and it doesn't, because I'm like, so then none of them are the love of your life.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that one of them might be, and I'm pretty sure that he doesn't watch any of it.
Okay. But that doesn't, but you thinking that he might be the love of your life doesn't make you want to stop talking about the others.
No, because I'm single until I'm taken. And like that sounds crazy, but I like think that it's okay to be transparent. I'm being respectful to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like talking about my journey, but like the thing about me is that I'm talking about it openly and sharing it with everybody. Everyone else is doing it in New York, right? These guys that I'm seeing, they're also seeing 4 other women.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's not one-sided.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fair. Do you think that after doing this, that it really is a numbers game and that more dates really do help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fully. I think that there's like a little bit of luck in love. And like there's a little bit of like, serendipity and all of that. But I also think that if you want to go out and really understand who you are in relationships and what you truly want in a partner, I think the way to do that is to date.
Yeah. I think that's true. Would you say that it was emotionally exhausting or like kind of invigorating in a way?
I think equal. I think I was really tired because I was the person who was creating the content, in the content, editing, posting, and then it went viral. And that added a whole nother layer to it where there were a ton of eyes on it, which that's pressure then, right? And I want to make sure I'm being respectful. So it was invigorating and exciting, yet very, emotionally exhausting. And like the thing is like there are real feelings here. And like when it comes down to it, I really want to find my person. And so I would be so upset if I did something that completely sabotaged me ending up with somebody.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Will you stop then if you decide, like at what point will you stop?
What do you mean?
Like when someone asks you to be their girlfriend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I'm somebody's girlfriend, then I'll stop dating other people. But
Right.
like now I have this whole community. So now it's just for like now that I have this community that's, on this journey with me, I'm going to continue to support them in their journeys. And so like the dialogue surrounding dating and relationship will continue, but like which stage I'm in will evolve with me.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they want to see you like how it goes
I
even when you
know.
find your
I
person.
think the people who are following, they genuinely want me to find love.
Yeah.
And if I did find love, I think that'd be so amazing for me, but I also think it'd be amazing for them because I think I've instilled hope in a lot of people, which now I'm like, oh my God, as a Minnesotan, I'm like, this is not humble. Like, this is not okay that I'm saying this. But yeah, like there's people around the world who started following me, and like I'm already getting messages where people are like, I downloaded Hinge because of you, and now I'm going on a fourth date, and he's really cool, and I'm really excited about this guy. And it's been a month. And I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah, it's beautiful. I'm so
It really
glad.
is.
Yeah.
I love that. So, oh yeah, okay, so you're a Scorpio
Yes. What are you again?
and I'm a Libra.
Okay. I love Libras.
Oh, I love Scorpio.
Yes. Okay.
And when you date, how much weight, if any, do you put into your compatibility?
Like my astrology compatibility.
Mhm.
So I would say I used to put way more into it. And now I'm trying to be a little bit more lenient because I learned that there's rising signs, and so it's rising in your moon sign,
Mhm.
and there's like no way for me to fully calculate that
Right, unless you knew all their birth
unless I
times.
know like their birth times, and there's no way I'm asking a guy their birth time because I think that would maybe turn some guys off.
Yeah, I
And
literally did that after my first date with my
really,
husband.
was he cool about it?
But it was all in the delivery, as you
Okay.
said, like the same way that you were like, I told them I want to be married. Like I did it in a very casual, funny way. Like I think I was walking with him and I was like, talking about how my nephew's birthday was coming up. And my
Okay.
nephew, I already knew my husband's birthday on our first date because
Yep.
of Facebook. And I mentioned that my nephew's birthday was that same day.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, that's my birthday, even though my nephew's birthday is 2 days later, but I actually fucked that up. And
Little
he was
white
like,
lies.
yeah. And he was like, oh, that's my birthday. And I was like, oh, really? Like what time? Or something like,
I
something
like
like
it.
that.
No, it's like so just like, oh, I was born in the afternoon. Do you remember?
Right.
Do you know when you were born?
Right. And
Yeah, I like
then-
it.
And then I ended up texting me after the date. Like the first follow-up text was like, oh, like 9:46 a.m. I just asked my mom or something like that.
And then you were like, yay. And
Uh-huh.
then you were able to, yeah.
Exactly. So do we
Okay.
know comedian, accountant, do we know any of their sun signs?
So the writer is also a Scorpio,
Okay.
which by the way, I've not dated a Scorpio before, and I'm a little afraid.
2 Scorpios are a good match, actually.
Really?
Mhm.
It seems like a lot of intense energy because I'm intense, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Like maybe I need somebody to match my intensity.
Maybe.
And then there's 2 Sagittariuses
The comedian and
the hedge fund guy, date number
Okay.
2. So what do you think of Scorpio and Sagittarius?
I've seen it a lot.
Is it
actually.
good?
It's not typically good, but it works.
Okay. Well, but I'm a Virgo moon sign and Aquarius rising.
Okay.
So I'm like, maybe there's like a little. I don't know.
Yeah. No, we don't know the rest of their charts.
I know. Totally.
We don't know. What would your advice be after doing this to people who are just dreading going out on dates? How do you deal with not looking forward to one?
I think you have to like bring the romance to dating back. And so one thing I did with my wardrobe even was I started to wear like dresses to dates, and that sounds like weird, but it wasn't like fluffy dresses. It was like cute, sleek, modern dresses, and like just like romanticizing it a little bit and like enjoying each little step of the process. And then it's also like anything, right? Like this was my 28 dates in February. There's also something called the Whole 30 where people for 30 days eat really clean food, and it's essentially the same thing, right? But just instead of eating clean, I was trying to get back into dating again. So it is a bit of a muscle that you just have to get out there and put yourself in a few probably potentially uncomfortable situations. But as you keep dating and over time, it gets easier and easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
What were the best dates? Were they from apps, from setups, from the DMs? Like what vessel?
So I would say that the beginning of the challenge, all my dates came from apps, obviously. And then this whole other phenomenon happened where because I like made these viral videos and I was gaining traction and a following, all of a sudden all these men started to pile into my DMs, and I started to get offered to go to all these really nice dates via DM. And so I would say the best dates probably came from I would say it's 50-50. Like the Soho House date with like the D-list celebrity was interesting, but I just like part of me was like, should I even go on this? Because my intention is to find my person, and I feel like this is just like a novelty thing for him, but I still went. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it was pretty split 50-50.
I would be so skeptical of anyone who slid into my DMs after I went viral.
Right? Well, and that's the thing. Like I definitely had my guard up with these guys because now like as it's gaining more and more traction, I'm now the 28 dates girl, right? And then if you get to be one of the dates, you know you're going to get a full recap of the date. You know that like you're going to maybe get a little social clout. I don't know. So
Yeah.
it did become a little sketchy in that
Yeah.
regard.
No, I get that. How did you remember everything they told you and not mix information? Or was it okay that you mixed information because they knew you were going out on all these dates?
Yeah, I was pretty like I'm pretty good at relationships and like when I was on these dates, it was one-on-one. It's like an intense conversation. And so I wasn't really like mixing up information because what dating is like sitting across the table from somebody and having like this in-depth conversation. And so I feel like I knew them pretty well. Also, I only went on 15 first dates. And so there were only 15 guys total in the experiment. I shouldn't call it an experiment, but that's what other people are saying.
Right. What was your favorite date location?
Um, I would say the Dumbo house was sick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looked really pretty.
Yeah.
What made you decide that it was okay to have like the same person twice in the 28
Like
days?
a second date.
Yeah.
If I started like if I felt like there was a connection, like of course I said no to like some date offers where they wanted to take me out on a second or third date, but if there was any spark there or alignment there, I would give them a second date. I got a lot of pushback from the guy who took me out on Valentine's Day. Barstool reposted it. Apparently, I was viral on finance Twitter because basically there was a guy who also works for a hedge fund who brought me out on Valentine's Day. And after our second date, I basically just told him that I only felt like we were friends. And I really did not feel a spark with him at all. There was no ounce of me that even really enjoyed having a one-on-one conversation with him. Like I liked him as like a human, but I'm like, I don't even think we'd be friends.
So then why did you go viral then? What was everyone upset about?
Because he took me on a really nice date. He took me to dinner. Then he booked a second reservation for after dinner drinks where we like Ubered to a second location. He brought Archie a little, like he went to a West Village bakery and brought me a little pizza treat to give to Archie. Like a cookie that looked like a piece of pizza because he knows that Archie's nickname is Pizza Gottarcini.
But that's too much too soon, I would argue. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably why it didn't work out. It's like when the guy takes you to like a $200 omakase on the first date, it's
Mhm.
like, I don't deserve this yet. Like,
Yeah.
why? What are you doing? It's
I
almost like
think
showy.
But like Cosme Guy, because because Bloomberg interviewed me and they had to ask me about how much these guys spent, I did go back to the guys and I asked them how much they spent, and he spent $600 on the first date. I didn't know that. I was shocked when he told me. I was like, "Are you serious?" It makes sense because we did multiple mezcal tastings, but what I'm trying to say is like I don't really care. If they wine and dine me initially, I love it. Like that's fine. It was for me and him. It was like just like there wasn't that connection that was ever going to be deep enough to be a full-on relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned like not having a spark,
Mm.
but then you also mentioned like you're not looking for your soulmate.
Yeah.
But so then like what is it? Because to me, I'm like a spark like equals soulmate. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so are you just because if it's just like an alignment,
It's not it's like a little bit of science, it's a little bit of art though because like I think that even with friendship, like you can have close proximity to someone for years and never be deep good best friends.
right?
And then there's somebody that you meet on the first day and you're just drawn to each other for some unknown reason because you just have like a natural rapport and chemistry and then you're really close friends and like it's like anything. And so with that guy, I mean, like, by the way, I would love to believe in soulmates. And maybe when I get married on my wedding day, I'll be like, oh my God, I found my soulmate. Like, who knows? But what I'm trying to say is that, what's your question again, actually? Like, I feel like
I
I'm
guess
off track.
no, and the question was because there's so many polarizing views when it comes to dating. And some
Right.
people are like, fuck the spark. The spark doesn't matter. Like, it's just if you have the same life goals, you know? And then some
Right.
people are like, no, you need to have that chemistry.
Like twin flame, blah, blah,
Otherwise,
blah.
it's not,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm like, where do you stand with that?
Okay, that's a good question. So essentially, where I stand is in the middle, because I think that there's something to a slow burn too, right? Where you see somebody for multiple dates, and like as you get to know them, they reveal more and more about themselves, and you're like, holy shit, you're actually like an amazing person. I'm so drawn to you. I'm so attracted to you. But maybe initially you didn't have that like spark or attraction. But there is something about that person that keeps you coming back, right?
Mm,
And it might not be because you're so attracted at the beginning, but there's just something about their charisma, their energy, your interaction together that keeps you coming back. And that's what I'm talking about. And so me and that guy who I went on that second date with and then ended up, walking away, I had zero. There was nothing to even bring me to back to a third date.
mhm.
And that's how I knew, like, there's not even a little foundation to build something real off of.
So how many dates would you give for the slow burn?
I would say that there has to be enough momentum after each date to keep going to the next. There has to be something like that they said, or a conversation that you had. Like when him and I were talking, and I feel bad because he's such a nice guy and I don't want to roast him. But when we were like, right now I'm engaged in this conversation. I'm really enjoying this conversation a lot. Him and I were sitting next to each other, having our Aperol spritz. I didn't feel like I wanted to even be there. Like, I was like, I'd rather be
Yeah.
sitting on my couch.
Oh yeah, that's the worst feeling on
And
a
so
date.
when you have that feeling, I think you honor it,
Right.
you
No, I
know?
think you're right. So what's the overall conclusion that you've come to?
I think my overall conclusion is that Archie is annoying. No, I'm just kidding. Archie, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Archie, come here. My overall conclusion is that I think that if you want to find a partner, I think you have to zoom out, really understand like what what you're looking for, what your red flags are, what your deal breakers are, yellow flags, green flags, and then with that like framework and context, you can go out in the world, date a bunch of people, and see if you find that person. I don't know, I'm maybe oversimplifying it.
No.
And like the thing is like everyone is watching me, like, have you found your person? And like I'm so in the moment with everyone that like I just tell my story from my perspective because I am not an expert. I'm also trying to figure this out alongside everyone.
Yeah, I think that's what
Mhm.
makes it so like fun to watch, and that's kind of
Okay.
how I started my podcast.
Yeah.
Like when I started it, I was newly single and dating and
Mhm.
trying to find someone too.
Right.
And so like the first few episodes were literally just me talking about my own dating life, the
Oh,
same way that
really?
you are now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm like your little protege. Although like we're like the same age, and I'm like, I'm the new you.
No, but in so many ways, like
Yeah.
you are at that point,
Yep.
and like, maybe in a few years you'll be married,
I hope so.
sitting across from someone wanting to hear their story.
Totally.
Okay, we're gonna do some fun rapid fire
Okay.
poll questions. A guy you've been seeing for 5 weeks says bye, love you on the phone, seemingly on accident. You say bye and hang up. Ask him about it or let it be.
I think me being me, I'd probably ask him.
Yeah. I think if you do it in a cute way, like so you remember what you said on the phone.
I guess if he said bye, love you, and it was, if it was like a genuine mistake and you could tell it was a mistake, then I would just let it go.
Right.
Be cool.
The guy you're seeing is 28, almost 29, and all of his friends are 23, 24-year-olds.
Mhm.
Is that a red flag or bad sign?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Have age appropriate friends.
Right.
Like your friends should reflect where you're at in your life and where you want to go.
Yeah.
If you are 35 and all of your friends are in their 20s, that's a problem.
Agreed. If you live with your significant other, no, that's stupid. Do you know any straight males who edit their photos? Yes or no?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't put it past anyone.
Yeah. Is it a red flag or deal breaker if they don't own any measuring cups?
No, I don't care. Although I like when a guy cooks because I feel like I'm not that good at cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And so when a guy has like a trait that I like is one of my weaknesses, I'm drawn to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you think guys only send the had a great time text after early dates if they're interested, or just
Yes.
send it to be nice?
No, I think they only do it if they're interested.
Really? I think they send it to be nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, say more.
I just think that they're like, it just checks the box of like, did I do all the right things on this date? Like, I don't want to be a bad guy. And like, then I'll decide later if I like them.
Okay. I mean, I think there's a few guys where I went on dates with them and I was like, are you doing this because you know I'm gonna make a little recap about it? Or are you doing this because it's genuine? But interesting. I feel like if a guy really likes you, he tells you, like, he'll ask you on the second date before the first date's over.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's so
that's
obvious.
True.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. Actually, you inspired another poll question.
Oh, cool.
Significant other shared that he got multiple happy ending massages while living in Thailand 5 years ago.
No. Immediately no.
Immediately
No. I don't do that.
No, I agree.
I don't like guys who go to strip clubs.
Yeah.
And I tell guys that early. I say, if that's your thing, we're not compatible.
Well, like on a bachelor party, I think
That's
it's
fine.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
fine. But Thailand, that gets a little creepy.
Yeah. My husband has a theory, he's going to kill me for saying this, but that every guy has had some sort of
Happy ending.
not like happy ending, but like happy ending or like interaction with a sex worker or something.
I mean, probably, but like, don't tell me about it. And if
Yeah.
it's like a one-off, fine, shit happens. If it's your pattern, no. Like, tell me early on so I can ditch
Yeah.
you.
Would you rather be with a guy who is more on the reserved/quiet side of, or life of the party outgoing?
I can do either. I've had guys reject me because they want to be the star, and I find that fascinating.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
That's just an insecure guy.
Yeah, I would agree.
Would you date someone who has a podcast?
Yeah. The comedian has a podcast.
Oh, he does.
He gave me some tips before coming on today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What were his tips?
Honestly, I'm trying to remember. I think he just like kind of fake interviewed me,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like cute and supportive, and I
Yeah, that is
appreciated
supportive.
it. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, the guy that you're seeing has had 2 girlfriends
Mhm.
who were previously hooking up with friends of his, and the friends had rejected the girls.
Wait, say that one more time.
So like you're dating someone and you find out that their last 2 girlfriends were rejected by their friends. You know what I'm saying? Like he took like their leftovers because like they didn't want them.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Mm.
Do you
Okay.
care?
I don't want to date the guy who lets his friends do work on the girls and then tries to swoop in and date them. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that okay, now people are gonna think I'm missing brain cells. He's
No, it's very confusing. So
Okay.
basically, would you date someone who their last 2 girlfriends
Mhm.
were people like dumped by their friends? Do you know what I'm saying?
Would I date somebody whose last 2 girlfriends were dumped?
By this person's friends.
Oh. No, I'm sorry. I misread that.
Yeah.
No, I like that's weird. I think that's not a very resourceful man.
Right.
I'm looking for somebody who's a little bit more ambitious than that.
Yeah.
And also a little bit more loyal to their friends. Like that's
Right.
off.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad.
That took me a while to get there, but once I understood
No, it's
it,
very confusing.
yeah.
The wording
then
is very confusing.
Yep, totally.
Marin, this was so much fun.
Yeah,
Do
thank
you
you.
have a quote or piece of advice that you could leave our listeners with?
Yeah, just be confident and so this is actually from Steve Harvey, but he says men respect standards, get some. And I just fully believe that. Have standards, ladies.
I love that.
Mhm.
Keep your standards high. Where can everybody find you, follow you,
Yay.
and just see how the journey goes?
Yes. So follow me at Okay, Archie. Follow me at Life of Marin NYC on Instagram. I have a link tree where you can find all my other endeavors. And then I'm also launching a podcast called Crowdsourcing Love. And that's going to be launching either today or tomorrow. So watch for that, where I'm just going to go into all the tea. I'm also going to be meeting with a matchmaker and doing like the full-on matchmaking process as the client. So I'm very excited.
I love that.
Thank you.
We can't wait to see.
Cool. Thank you again.
Thank you.